Welcome to the Hustle Class Podcast. We have a quick disclaimer. All material presented within Hustle Class LLC is not investment advice, but for educational purposes only. Trading involves risk, and you are solely responsible for your investment decisions and assume the entire risk of any trading you choose to undertake. Owners of Hustle Class LLC and its representatives are not registered as security broker-dealers or investment advisors, either with the United States Securities and Exchange Commission or with any state securities regulatory authority. Please utilize a registered investment or financial advisor to make any financial decisions. If you choose to invest without seeking advice from such an advisor or entity, then any consequences resulting from your investments are your sole responsibility. By utilizing Hustle Class LLC and our content, you are indicating your consent and agreement to our disclaimer. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Hustle Class Podcast. It is your host, Jermaine, and I am back at it again with another one. Tuning in. Right now, it's free 99. It's all free game. I am blessed to be here. It is great to be in 2021 with you all. I missed everybody dearly and greatly, and I thank you for tuning in. Ending last year and beginning this year was a little rocky. I had a lot on my plate and a lot to try to manage and deal with heading into last year and, starting this year. Work has picked up tremendously. I've started some other initiatives with some of my close friends, financial related, stock related, money related, business related. And so since I'm networking and increasing myself in those capacities, it did definitely take a lot of energy and time away from me and making sure this platform is as great as it should be. Now, so this year I can make a promise to y'all that I will do my due diligence to make sure that I can present to you guys every single week. I'm trying to try to give you guys some gems, some game, ways I'm hustling, things I'm doing differently, stocks I'm investing in, things of all of that nature. So I'm glad that you've stuck with me this long, and I pray that you may be able to, share this with a friend or two who might find this information engaging, interesting, or who could take some things away from it. This is Hustle Class Podcast. We hustle, we grind, we execute, we just make sure that we're covering all bases so that every time, a home run opportunity comes, the bases are loaded and we can make some shake. All right. So, like how I was talking about, things kind of weighing heavy on me, work kind of picked up. I'm in a new role at work. I'm an engineer by degree, but right now I'm doing some more like operational project management, business analyst type of work. So the difference between that and engineering, as I, worked in it and studied in school, the difference that I've noticed so far is just the amount of attention that you need at any given time. So doing something in operational project management is very hands-on. I'm needed pretty much around the clock, almost at an emails notice or at a message notice on the clock during the 9 to 5 hours, as well as maybe even needing to work a little extra because the deadlines on things are really tight in an operational sense, because that's how businesses run, your day to day. Now, when it was more of an engineering role, that was kind of something that I could kind of have my work that I had to do, and it was doing maybe a month or 2 weeks, and I had, my own time to be able to figure out how I was going to accomplish the goals I needed to be able to present something to, my team or my manager. You know what I'm saying? And also another thing to think about, I was working with my team and my manager as an engineer, and now I'm actually almost directly working with the customers as a operational guy. So, it's different. This week and the week before has been like a crash course to just learning work stuff for my role. So it's definitely difficult, but I'm gonna make time for you all. Another thing that I started doing was I started this initiative with my good friend, fellow brother of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. His name is Nat Kwamina, and we started to do this thing called Gentleman's Corner on YouTube. I'll have the link in the show notes, and basically it's a place where gentlemen of any stature can come and get free tips and free games. So I usually talk financial stocks and stuff, and Nat talks about fragrances and colognes and things of that nature. So come add yourself to it, subscribe, and I'll leave it in the show notes so you can definitely tap into that. Those are two of the things that I started. I also became a sort of admin on our old co-host platform, Forever Slow Stroking, Eyon. I became an admin in his stock group. I will also leave his website in the show notes so that you can tap in, if you want to join his stock group. That availability is there. If you also want to consult with him, that availability is there. If you want to just listen to his podcast, that availability is also there. But I am definitely partnered with Forever Slow Stroking, giving them my stock plays, in real time on a day-to-day basis. And I'll also be engaging in coursework and classes with Eyon, in terms of getting people up to speed with, education on what it is to invest. Not giving advice, right? Just educating on, how you can, percentages and multiples and what certain things mean in the market, how to kind of read balance sheets and financial statements, technical analysis, things of that nature. So that's also there. And then the last thing I'll talk about that is also taken off is my consultation, my own personal consultations. That's, hustle class consultations. And, I had a very great new year in terms of consultations. A lot of people are looking to boss their life up this year with getting the stock knowledge. And, I do a variety of things. It could be budgeting, it could be saving, it could be debt management, debt payment, and also stocks and investing. So I have a breadth of knowledge, and everything I do is all educational. I kind of pull from my own experiences, and I kind of do like this what I would do, and then if people want to subscribe to that, they do. But as always, I always will tell people to just consult a financial advisor before they make any decisions based on anything I've told them, because I'm not a financial advisor, right? But I'm glad that I have that initiative. I also leave the link to schedule time with me to engage in a conversation. Whether it be, stock related, or if you just want to talk about life, we could do that too. Whatever you want to do with your time is what I make available for you to do. So I'll drop that in the show notes as well. So with all that being said, I want to keep this pretty brief so we can get right into the stock market. So earlier on, I guess the last episode that I did on Hustle Class, I definitely had talked about some of the stocks that I was interested in that had, huge potential simply because of sort of like the day and age we're in, partially, and also because of certain, developments like the elections and other things like that. So I was basically talking about EV stocks, which is electric vehicle stocks, and how they were going to the moon. I had mentioned BLNK, Blink Charging. I had mentioned Solo, and I had mentioned Workhorse, and I had also mentioned Riot for crypto, because, Bitcoin at the time was at maybe like 15K or 20K. Since then, BLNK is up about 500%. Riot is up about 1,000%. Solo is up, I would say, a sizable amount. It's probably up 300%. Workhorse is also up greatly. I don't have the number, but yeah, since the episode posted, if anybody decided to, consult a financial advisor and go with the, about the stocks that I had talked about on this podcast, I mean, there would have been loads of money that would have been made, right? And I'm just happy that I was able to provide that to everybody, free of charge. It's just knowledge just for you to go and do your own digging and searching. And that kind of proves the point of just thinking ahead. When it comes to this stock stuff, a lot of it is just about putting yourself in your own shoes years down the road. So I was thinking, like, when Biden comes in, what's the focus going to be? Where's the world heading? And, I applied that knowledge, bought those stocks, and I ate off of it. So that's great. And another thing to think about is now that Biden's in power, right? Because just today is inauguration day. That's the date of this recording. There's more stocks that people are starting to look at. And as the interest in these stocks increases, we've already positioned ourselves at a good spot where we're going to, everything is just going to be equity. We're just green right now. It's all green. So as people start to pour some money into these efforts, we would have already set our feet in it, in the sand, and we'll just be waiting for the wave to come for real. So I'm excited. And so I was just going to mention that because I talked about those before. Now I think that I would want to talk about some of the stuff I'm looking up for sort of like the upcoming week, and since Biden just kind of got elected, there are some stuff I'm looking at in January, and I thought that I would just talk about them a little bit. So one of the big ones that I was thinking about is this company called GEVO, GEVO. Now, the reason why I was thinking about it is because, you know, a lot of people were saying that Bill Gates had made a great investment in it, right? Bill Gates has bought all this land. He just went out and bought a load of land, and decided that, hey, I'm going to buy this land, and we're going to see what we're going to use it for. But then they also made a deposit in this company, GEVO, which is focused on like agricultural energy, right? And like sort of like it's one of those like bio friendly energy companies. So with that being said, I thought that would be something to potentially look at long term, right? Because if somebody has made such a hefty investment into something like this at a time where a president who's going to be climate and energy focused is coming into the mix, I think it could be a good marriage. Also thinking about the price to book ratio, that's very healthy. It's at like 2, meaning that for you purchasing the stock, you're only paying double, I guess, the price of the actual value of the company to the stock price. So that's a 2-to-1 price to book ratio. That's a good ratio to have, especially for something that seemingly hasn't cracked the surface yet, right? Because that means that there's a lot of upside and not too much downside, right? So GEVO is definitely one that I'm looking at. Another one that I am looking at in terms of these companies that are going to be energy centric, SPI Energy. Another reason for that one is I don't have their price to book, but their price to sales is around 1, and the price to revenue ratio is also around 1. So it's kind of like another company that has that good balance of what it's worth actually when you consider their assets, debt, and all of that, and then when you actually look at the actual price of the stock and how much of the company you would own by just buying a share. So it has a really good balance. SPI Energy is primarily focused on commercial, residential, and government utility. So it's talking about scaling solar power and things of that nature in more than one place. It's a Chinese company to my knowledge, so they're gonna do work in Northern America, also gonna do work in Asia, right? That China Japan region, and they're also gonna take their talents to Europe, because if it's good enough for America, it's definitely good enough for Europe, right? So SPI is something I'm definitely looking at as well. On this market. Now, everything I'm saying, like I always say, it's not financial advice. You have to go and do your own diligence, do your own research. After that, go ahead and contact the financial advisor and get even more, game on it, right? And I feel like SPI could also be used for electric vehicles. All these things we're talking about is energy, right? But energy is ultimately going to also have an effect on, batteries and, electric vehicles, especially if, we have some solar power going on with some of them, since this is, a company that also has some solar expertise, right? So I talked about that. And then the last company I'm going to talk about here is going to be BWEN. Another company, right, that is, BWEN. It's called Broadwind Inc. And BWEN, another reason why I like them, kind of like the rest of them, a great price to book ratio. The reason why I like finding these good price to book ratios, right? Tesla's price to book ratio is around 150, 160. Meaning every time you buy a share of Tesla, you're basically saying you're willing to pay 160 times whatever the price Tesla is actually worth for that. You know what I'm saying? So you're basically paying it with the hope that Tesla is just going to keep growing and growing, which, we all hope and all think that it will. But, you're kind of getting a sweeter deal on a company when you have, instead of a 150-to-1 price to book, you have like a 3-to-1, a 2-to-1. That's more accurate. And, since, people who bought Tesla when it was at a reasonable price to book ratio, maybe like 1-to-1, 5-to-1 even, 10-to-1 even, right now have turned virtually, let's say, $1,000 into tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars. Because when the price to book ratio increases, that's all equity for you. You're just on the upside of that, right? So BWEN, I really like the price to book ratio. The price to sales is under 1. The price to revenue is under 1. So it has like a really good looking balance sheet. And they're engaged in like the manufacture of structures and equipment for clean tech. So, we're talking about clean energy, green energy, right? So this is another company that I really, really am interested in. And so I'll be doing more research. I'll be getting into it. Now, some of these companies I've already bought shares. I'm not going to lie. I already bought some stuff. But, I always make sure I do my due diligence and research before I put it on this platform because I want to make sure I'm bringing the gems. I'm bringing the gold, right? Now, to support the integrity of the hustle class consultation business I've done, these stocks that I mentioned today actually aren't even in my top 5. My top 5 that I have are only for those who consult with me because I want them to get the value for their dollar. So I only gave the top 5 to those who consult with me looking for the top 5 stocks for the month. So if you want to be on that end where you're getting the top 5, if you, let's say, for example, right, you get these 3 companies, right? After consulting your financial advisor, you get these 3 companies per their recommendation. And these do exceptionally well. I want you to remember that I have 5 that I liked even more than these that you didn't have access to because you did not consult with me. So please make sure if you're looking to get on the upside, you can definitely consult with me and we can have those conversations. But yeah, these are the stocks that I kind of like. I think they're going to do really well. And I would probably just talk about the same stocks with more insight next week. It's going to be hard to tell. Another thing that I forgot to mention earlier on is that I just started grad school again for the semester. This semester I'm going to be taking software, so that's going to be a lot of coding. If I remember undergrad correctly, it takes me a good amount of time to get in my coding bag. So it's going to take some time, it's going to take some energy, but I'm hoping that I can still be able to come and give you guys gems, still be able to do some research on the side to put my best forward when it comes to this content. So I'm hoping that you all stay tuned, you stay hungry, and you're ready to get your grind on. But that's it for Hustle Class this week. Any questions, you can always email at hustle. You can always email hustleclass@gmail.com. Always available. And yeah, I hope you all consult with me. Try to meet one-on-one and have a nice conversation. So yeah, I wish you all the best this week and we'll talk. Jermaine out.